Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Pan Future Society podcast. I am your host, Sean, as I am every week. It's been one of the few consistent things in my life. Anyway, today is Saturday, April 15th, 2017. And the first item of business this week is next week. Next week is the March for Science on April 22nd on Earth Day. I do hope that you are able to participate in some way. As I talked about before, there may be some downsides to it. There may be some reasons. Scientists themselves don't want to participate, but on the whole, it is unfortunately a necessary thing to go out and protest for science the way we've protested for civil rights and gay rights in the past. So go do something, and I will be going to do something, I hope. I have not yet fully decided what to do about the show next week, since the March is on Saturday, right when I usually do the show. I'm thinking I will get some live shots and hopefully talk to some people, do some brief interviews to get on the show. In terms of getting a show out Saturday morning, possibly Friday, I'm thinking about doing an all-news show for you again, because there's been so much news lately, I have not been able to fit it all in. So there may be Saturday, there'll be a news show, and then maybe a special edition for the March itself. If you follow me on Twitter, keep an eye on the Twitter feed next Saturday, because I will probably be tweeting. I may or may not be doing live video things. I'm an older person, and live video is weird to me, because it's like that, was it Vonnegut who said that, technology that's in your life when you're born is always normal to you, and if you're older when it's introduced, it always seems a little bit odd. The live video streaming is definitely odd for me. I've actually never even done it, so we'll see what happens. And go out and unfortunately, as much as it's sad that it needs to be done, go do it. Go protest for science. Now, on with this week's show, on to the news. The first news item today: a bricklaying robot that works 500% faster than a human being. A New York company called Construction Robotics has designed a bricklaying robot named SAM, short for semi-automated mason. SAM can lay 3,000 bricks per day, and it will be deployed in the UK soon. This 3,000 bricks a day number beats humans by about 2,500 bricks. Apparently, a good human mason can lay about 500 bricks in a day. How this kind of boils down, roughly, according to this article here, is Sam lays bricks at the cost of 4.5 cents per brick, a human being paid $15 an hour, which I think really good masons actually can make pretty good money. At 500 bricks a day, that's about 32 cents a brick. Now, the SAM is not completely independent. It still has to be fed the bricks to its conveyor belt, and then after the bricks are set in the wall and in the mortar, another bricklayer has to follow up and clean the excess mortar. However, I am sure feeding it bricks will be automated in a couple of months, because that sounds like a pretty simple thing. The cleanup and the finishing work on the masonry might be a little trickier, but I can't imagine that not being automated sometime in the future. And even though this would require a few people to be around, it's a significant cut in the number of people who would be required. Or, if there's a team of masons, building a house, they would get things done much faster, and then overall you'd need far less masons in the world to get the work done that we need to have done. So, yet another example. If your politicians in your area don't know about this automation stuff that's going on, they're not talking about it, get them talking about it. Call them, write to them. Emailing is not as effective as calling their offices or writing actual letters on paper. But it's out there, and it's showing up in every work aspect that humans have previously done. And now,
it came from outer space.
Briefly, the first space news item this week is a reminder that science journalism in the world is often terrible. So you may have seen a lot of news this week about the ocean world of Enceladus or other places, Europa, like that. Enceladus in particular, some of the headlines say Enceladus has the elements to support life, or there could be life on Enceladus, which may be true, but it's a bit overhyped. Enceladus shoots jets of water into the air as geysers, into space. And scientists have detected elements like molecular hydrogen that could be the stuff that would support life, such as life that lives around thermal vents under the ocean here on Earth. So it's very interesting, but it doesn't mean we've found life somewhere else yet, anyway. And one of the interesting things to come out of this particular story is that there's a lot of talk, a lot of people pushing for missions to dig under the ice on Enceladus or Titan or Europa, places like that. But we might not even have to with Enceladus. A much less expensive and less complicated mission could just fly through the geysers and gather a ton of information that way and get a more complete, detailed picture of the stuff that's coming out of the geysers. And we could start with that without doing some complicated subsurface ice submarine thing, and could probably get that done more quickly. So there are some people who are advocating for the fly-throughs prior to doing some sort of digging on the surface and potentially contaminating something as well, which we have to be very careful of. The other bit of space news that I was originally going to be the only thing I covered this week, New Horizons is taking a nap. The New Horizons space probe that flew past Pluto not too long ago is going into a hibernating mode meant to reduce the wear and tear on the machinery and whatnot while it prepares for the next part of its mission. So it will be going into nap, sleepy time mode now, and later this year in September, they will wake it back up again to prepare for its next mission leg, which will be to observe objects in the Kuiper Belt. So as for all the fantastic imagery that New Horizons sent of Pluto, it's not done yet. These machines that NASA and its partners have been building lately are just incredible, that they just go and go and go. They far exceed the expected lifespan of their initial missions, and they get to go on and do other things, and that's just fantastic. And another reason we should spend way more money on NASA than we do. Anyway, that is your news of the moment. Hey, where's my flying car of the future that I was promised? Well, we've got self-driving all-electric cars, and I've talked about some of the ways we may ply the oceans of stars in the future. But what about in between? What is on the horizon for air travel here on Earth? Electric planes, balloons, maybe something not in the air at all. Let's take a look at some of the technologies changing air travel. All of the following are in the passenger or cargo category of craft. I've left out some remarkable things like flying solar wings that can stay up indefinitely. These types are meant more for carrying communication and observation equipment, not people or cargo. I also skipped over any vehicles being called flying cars. For the most part, these all seem like airplanes that can be driven around, and there are some newer models that might be sold to the public soon, and while more car-like in driving mode, I think they would still require a pilot's license. Though these may be able to cover longer distances, I don't see them being useful to a great many people. Several companies and governments are researching and testing small VTOL, vertical takeoff and landing craft, for use as taxis and short distance transportation. These machines tend to look like large drones, quadcopter type designs, but large enough to carry a cockpit for one or two passengers. To my eye, I'd call them personal helicopters. A German startup named eVolo has been testing a small electric craft that will fly up to 62 miles an hour. They expect a practical use to go 43 miles per hour for about 17 minutes, and they will be testing the flying taxi service in 2018. The country of Dubai, with all of its money to throw around, is also adopting a plan to use small VTOL craft to alleviate traffic. They're hoping to launch the first vehicles by July of this year. They're using craft called the EHang or EHang. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I'm going to say EHang because it hangs in the air. The EHang 184, which has a flight time of 25 minutes. The EHang company also builds small drones and has recently contracted with Lung Biotechnology to use the 184 for artificial organ delivery. That seems to me the biggest limitation of this tech so far. You can't go very far. Although in a city you usually don't have to go far, you also need to deal with swapping batteries or rapid charging. These have a ways to go in competition with cars and rail systems, but they are coming along quite quickly. I also imagine a lot of people have safety concerns, but I found at least the information available on the EHang 184 being deployed in Dubai has a huge amount of redundancy systems and other safety features in its vehicle. Despite nerves over being in a self-flying vehicle, it's probably as safe or more so than driving or flying with a human at the controls. The German version currently requires a pilot, but the EHang is designed as a self-flying vehicle from the start, meant to fly between preset points. And although I'm all for something this cool, I don't know if we're solving a problem if eventually all the cars take to the air. We'll just move the traffic jam up, although I suppose designated routes could fly at different altitudes, increasing available space. Airbus also has an interesting concept called the pop-up. It's a transport pod that will attach to different modes of motion, a quadcopter for flight, wheels for individual ground transport, or it can join itself up to a train. This seems like a really good way to make use of small personal transportation while making it still less crowd and traffic inducing. Along similar lines, but a bit larger, Bell Helicopter has unveiled a new design called the FCX-001. This helicopter is built from sustainable materials and has a hybrid power system. Its rotor blades can also change shape to suit flying conditions, and it uses a new anti-torque system for better safety, lower noise, and better performance. It also has an augmented reality system for controls, which can replace complex dashboard equipment and offer better in-flight controls in bad weather. In addition to that, the FCX-001 has an artificial intelligence system, which for now can act as co pilot, although Bell expects to have a fully autonomous helicopter in the near future. Much more than just outer space, NASA, along with various partners, is at the forefront of new materials and designs for aircraft. Even now, there are planes using carbon fiber, titanium, and other advanced materials. As manufacturing with these materials gets better, and as new ones are developed, you can bet they will show up in aircraft. Aircraft need a unique combination of strength and lightness, so are often the first place you see materials like carbon fiber show up in larger scale manufacturing. In addition to the advanced materials, NASA is also at the forefront of new engineering designs. Thanks in part to the latest computer technology and simulations, they are designing new engines, propeller blades, wing shapes, and more. Along with 3D printing and the aforementioned advanced materials, NASA, Boeing, and others can shape their craft in new ways never seen except perhaps in craft like the SR-71 Blackbird, an aircraft ahead of its time in so many ways. These new designs, along with new materials, are allowing for aircraft that are more fuel efficient, have lower emissions, are safer, more durable, and built with more sustainable materials. Many of the concept craft may be years off, but their elements, such as engine design, are making their way into the real world. The craft in concept and testing vary from modified jumbo jets to flying wings, and are even reviving the idea of commonplace supersonic flight. The legendary Concorde was fast, but people often complained about the sonic booms, and it was expensive to maintain. One of the NASA Lockheed Martin designs is for a supersonic craft that could reduce the level of sonic booms. Also on the table for NASA are craft designed for other planets like Mars. Mars offers its own challenges due to the thin atmosphere. The designs for Martian airplanes lead toward the very large winged glider style. In the everything old is new category, blimps are on the table. Blimps have been in continuous use for a long time, but after the Hindenburg, not so much for passenger craft. While perhaps slow, this makes them fuel efficient, and using helium now instead of hydrogen avoids the Hindenburg disaster problem. One made by hybrid air vehicles called the Airlander is 300 feet long, can go 90 miles an hour, climb to 20,000 feet, and stay aloft for 2 weeks, and can carry 11 tons, more than all but the largest of cargo aircraft. However, it did crash during its second test flight. Not too much damage, but there's clearly some distance to go with blimps. But I do think they are a likely addition to our future air travel, especially if large cargo capacity or long flight duration is needed. There are also designs for hybrid blimp and airplane or helicopter craft, combining more propellers and wings with some sort of lighter than air flotation, and also for lighter than air craft for other planets. And perhaps through the air is not how we will travel at all in the future. The United States has a poor history of using trains, but they are widespread in Europe and Asia, including a number of high-speed bullet trains. The current speed record holder is the Shanghai Maglev in China, topping out at nearly 270 miles an hour. This train only has a route of about 18 miles, and the second fastest train in the world is China's Harmony CRH 380A, and it makes the 193-mile Shanghai to Nanjing trip. Due to an accident, apparently these trains are now limited to 186 miles per hour, but this one can top out at 236 miles per hour. And then, of course, there's the hyperloop. Should this ambitious project founded by Tony Stark, I mean Elon Musk, be put into service, it could travel at speeds up to 800 miles per hour. Even if it does half that speed, it will easily rival air travel. And if this sounds like a crazy pipe dream, elements of the track, tube, and engine have already been tested. Humans have always wanted to take to the air, and this desire has driven technological innovation since the first hot air balloon. Though we may never see a day where daily air travel is part of our lives, I don't see the innovation slowing down anytime soon. And we can certainly make greater and greater strides to reducing the health and environmental impact that air travel can have on us and our planet. All right, that's the show for this week. Thank you for joining me. As always, thank you. Come to the website, panfuture.org. Link there to all the Twitter and the Facebook and the other places you can find the show. Leave comments on the blog posts and the show pages, and do the stuff with the things. And tune in next week to hear more about the Science March. Hey, if you do March for Science, and you want to shoot some video or record some audio or something, or send me your stories, let me know why you're doing it and where you are. That would be nice to know how widespread all this stuff is. And that's all I got. I will talk to you again in the future.